Hello. I'm not a review type dude. This is probably my first and last rifle review ever. But when I was trying to get this 6.8 Western in the Browning Long Range Mac project up and running, there was not a lot of information I could find. Specific information on the rifles, like meat and potatoes, if you will. So after spending some trigger time, I thought I'd share what I found with you guys. So I grabbed my beautiful 13-year-old slash director, and here we go. Now this is a sample size of one, exactly one, and this is my opinion. I'm just a dairy farmer, but I do have 25 plus years experience in the long range gig, and I believe that I can give you a good solid opinion based off my knowledge base, and my opinions are based off of that knowledge base, not Google. Take it for what it is. So the 6.8 Western, many of you wished it was a WSM. I feel you, and if I was building a custom, it'd be in a long action WSM for sure. However, if you're going to send these big old long critters here out of this right here, the Western case is just a little bit better suited for that. Kind of like the 260 Remington versus 6.5 Creedmoor scenario. It just is what it is. What does it provide? That's a big question. Does it have a place at the table? I believe it has a huge place at the table, in my opinion. The cartridge had the 27 caliber. The heavy 27 calibers have a very unique place of balance of BC versus recoil versus energy. What is that going to yield you? It's going to be more like a 300 WSM shooting 210s on the hard end. On the recoil side, 7mm mag or under. I mean, that's pretty sweet. For example, a 170 Burger is going to yield you about 1,200 foot-pounds of energy at a grand. At my elevation of 1,200, that takes me supersonic to a mile. And folks, that's just nothing to sneeze about. All the while, in this configuration at least, it has less recoil than my 8-pound 270 Win shooting 140s. I mean, that is pretty freaking sweet. Anyway, enough about the cartridge. Let's move on to the rifle. The Browning Long Range Max. I had a lot of questions about this rifle before the purchase. I'm not a Browning fanboy. I don't have a Browning tattoo on my butt or nothing yet. But I called Browning. We had several conversations, and I just couldn't find the information that I was looking for on this particular model. The stock, I was worried about how rigid the stock was. I really thought I would absolutely hate the magazine. Accuracy, Browning offers no accuracy guarantee whatsoever with their rifles. That I thought was kind of weird. So anyway, we'll start with the stock. Is it rigid? When I called Browning, they told me it was their version of a McMillan, made in-house to cheapen it up. Folks, you're not getting a McMillan or a Manners. You're not paying for a McMillan over a Manners. But is it rigid? Yes. When I load my bipod, it doesn't cause the rifle to do anything stupid, put it up on the barrel, cause any problems whatsoever, no drama. They're glass bedded from the factory. The bedding job on this one was fine. 35 inch-pounds on the action screws, no dramas. It's nice, and I really like how it's curvature at the bottom of the stock, so like when you're carrying it in the palm of your hand, say down at your side, it's extremely comfortable. It goes out into this flat up here for bags, if you're shooting into bags. I mean, that makes it pretty versatile. I like versatility. The pistol grip, the vertical grip, it's just about the right thickness. Is what it is. I dig it. You come back to the rear of the stock, you got your standard butt spacers. The cheek piece here, you've got your knob for your adjustment. I've never had it move after I had it set. It's never slid down. If you don't like the knob, it comes with an included Allen bolt that's included where you can swap that out. There's a neat little feature right back here. You guys probably can't see it, but there's a numbering system on the back right here. So what that does is allow you to set that back to the exact same place as you had it after you clean it or whatever. That is as handy as a pocket on the front of your shirt right there. So thank you, Browning, for that. The magazine, I just knew I was going to hate the magazine. I watched all the videos that Browning puts out, the little informational videos on this rifle, and I watched them just flip this thing in and out. And they described how much time they'd spent engineering it. And to be truthful, I thought to myself, yeah, we'll see. Well, I have to say, that it does just flop in and out. I thought if it did that easily, it probably induce problems, especially at the WSM case family. Um, it does not. I'm digging it. No problems with it. No problems with it whatsoever. We'll move on to the barrel. Initially, I was kind of disappointed in the weight of the barrel. They call it a heavy sporter, I believe. I kind of wished it was a little heavier for what I do, but after messing with it a while, it is really the perfect weight for this rifle and what it was intended to do. It balances really, really well. The brake works fine. Not all brakes are created equal. This one seems to work outstanding. If you're a one-man show like I am, shooting distance, you have to be able to see your splash. I had no issues whatsoever. It measures about, if I remember right, 750-ish or so at the muzzle, right about the break. It's fluted, purely cosmetic, but it looks cool, right? Stainless. The interesting thing about the barrel will be the 7.5 twist. Browning was kind of looking forward on that deal, I think. The recommended twist for the 170 Berger, according to Berger, is 1 in 9. And this is 7.5 twist. The Winchester's is an 8 twist. So that really leaves us a lot of room to grow. I'm hoping that maybe Berger or somebody will pick up on that. We got a lot of room to grow. There's absolutely no reason we can't be launching a projectile of this thing at 0.7 or above. We have factory rifles that can do it. So we will move on to the trigger. The trigger is what they describe it. You know, it's light, it's crisp. There's hardly any creep to this trigger whatsoever. Absolutely no over travel. The poundage was a little bit higher than what I liked, so I put the M Carbo spring kit in mine. That's $20 to my door. No dramas. It's better to suit me, but it wasn't bad from the factory. Timney also makes a trigger for this rifle, but it's my understanding that if you install the Timney, there's a nifty little button here you can push that allows you to unchamber or chamber around with the safety on, and it disactivates that. So that's something you got to decide. We will move on to the action. I didn't have a lot of experience here, I'll be honest with you. It's a 3-lug bolt system. The bolt lift is very, very short, 60 degree. Is it smooth? Yeah, I mean, if you set 1 to 10, T could be in a 10, 9, 9.5, right? It's smooth. It's got a 3-lug bolt. It's got a M16 style extractor. Neat note here, when the bolt is down in the firing position, the extractor is orientated by 5 or 6 o'clock, and it's not sitting in a raceway staring at your eyeball. That's kind of cool. One disadvantage to the 60 degree bolt throw is you lose a little bit of camming ability. What I mean by that is the angles inside the receiver are so short and so sharp just due to the geometry of the design that you lose a little bit of camming ability, and sometimes it takes just a little bit of extra force to pop that extractor up over that case rim that you probably wouldn't otherwise notice in a 2-lug design. Is it a deal breaker? No. It's just something you're going to notice, but it's not a deal breaker. In fact, I've kind of got used to it. Everybody, so that wraps up the action. Everybody's interested in the accuracy. That's the big thing. I do all of my accuracy testing at 400 yards. And everybody says, why do you accuracy test at 400 yards? Well, I have a really neat place for it. What I'm looking for in my groups really shows up at distance, easier to see. And when I'm figuring my MOAs, I don't have to take my shoes off and count my toes or nothing. It's just handy. These are 3-shot groups. I don't have to shoot 5-shot groups. If that bothers you, I'll try really hard to lose some sleep over it. Where I ended up at, I hope you can see this. My go-to load is right here. There's 3 shots right there that's under an inch. That's my go-to load. I'm shooting reloader 26. I wanted to, I backed down a whole grain of powder because I wanted to see how wide a node I was messing with. So when the weather cools off, this is 3 shots under 1 3/4 inches. As I said, these are 3 shots, all at 400 yards. So later on, I wanted to verify this load, so I went out to 1,008 to verify And I wasn't really trying to shoot groups as much as I was trying to check my water line, see if anything stupid happened, and see if I needed to calibrate my dope. I literally had a wall of water coming at me from a rainstorm at 1,500 yards coming straight at me with the winds associated with it. So the winds was pretty brutal. But anyway, I fired 4 shots. The first shot was like right over in here somewhere. Bad wind call. I fired it in the heaviest wind I had, so I just cheated it over and tried to slip them on this side of the plate in fear of the wind letting off and dumping me off this side of the plate. So anyway, I fired 3 shots, and the vertical on these 3 shots, there's one there, and one here. The vertical on these 3 shots is 4.5 inches. So is what it is. So in summary, I would say 1 out of 10. You got to figure out what 10 is, right? If you base 10, a perfect 10, off of what Browning's infomercials tell you that they're going to provide for you, I mean, it's 10 out of 10. No complaints. Good job, Browning. So anyway, that is my review of the 6.8 Western cartridge and the Browning Long Range Max. And folks, remember to protect your Second Amendment rights because your freedom might depend on it. Thank you.